Tonight, breaking news, we're tracking this new major cross-country winter storm. 115 million Americans on alert for dangerous driving, blizzard conditions, high winds from the Midwest to the South, the Great Lakes right to the East Coast, and the real tornado threat tonight we're also watching. Ginger Z is standing by to time out this storm. Also tonight, the new images here, the wildfires burning out of control in South Carolina.
Why we can't get out?
More than 175 fires still burning tonight. Families racing to escape the flames. Tonight, the stock market dropping more than 600 points after President Trump's message late today declaring 25% tariffs against Canada and Mexico will go into effect at midnight. What the president is now saying and what legendary investor Warren Buffett is now saying about tariffs. Tonight, after the world witnessed that showdown in the Oval Office, what President Zelenskyy is now saying about the mineral deal with the U.S. And our Rachel Scott asking President Trump what it would take to make this deal happen after all with President Zelenskyy. And tonight, the Kremlin is pleased with what it's seeing, saying President Trump's foreign policy vision largely aligns with theirs. After the plane crash into the Potomac here in Washington and those warnings right beforehand, the Black Hawk too close to the passenger jet, there is news tonight there have been multiple warnings since. Passenger jet pilots coming into D.C., but those pilots say there isn't other aircraft nearby. So what's happening? Why the alerts? And is this system working? Overseas tonight, the driver plowing into pedestrians at a carnival, the deadly attack, the third such attack in less than 3 months. Tonight, there is news coming in on Pope Francis now, a disturbing setback. Terry Moran live at the Vatican. Back here in the U.S., the urgent search for a missing 2-year-old boy. The scare at Boston's Logan Airport, a passenger stung by a scorpion while retrieving her luggage. And a night of history at the Oscars right here on ABC. The show starting off on a high note, and the surprises right until the end.
From ABC News, this is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, reporting tonight from Washington, D.C.
Good evening tonight from Washington. We are here. President Trump will address the nation at a joint session of Congress tomorrow night. And of course, we'll carry it live right here on ABC. But tonight, the president is already making news on his tariffs on Canada and Mexico that he says will go into effect at midnight tonight. China as well. The Dow dropping more than 600 points on the news. We're also tracking these wildfires in South Carolina. But we begin tonight with this major winter storm moving across the country at this hour. More than 115 million Americans on alert for blizzard conditions, high winds and tornado threats right now. Tonight, winter weather across the plains, severe weather to the south. New Orleans canceling some of its Mardi Gras events. The system reaching the East Coast by Wednesday. A mess expected right along the I-95 corridor in the east. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z. She's with us tracking it all tonight. Hi, Ginger.
Hi, David. More than 24 states have some sort of alert, and you'll see when I bring up this map here, the wind alerts stand out for Texas, Kansas, Missouri, all the way over to Nashville. Now, that's for wind ahead of the actual system, a really tight pressure gradient, meaning a big change in pressure over a small distance. That's going to give us 40 to 65-mile-per-hour winds without the thunderstorms. But the thunderstorms themselves are going to bring problems tonight after a lot of people go to bed. Oklahoma City to Chickasha, down to Wichita Falls, and even the northwest side of Dallas, like Fort Worth. That's tonight into early tomorrow morning. Then this thing charges east. You see the blizzard-like conditions on the back side of it in the northern plains. Well, on the southern side, through the afternoon tomorrow and the evening, we've got severe storms, anywhere from Mobile back to Texarkana. And you see there Alexandria and New Orleans included in the severe threat. The main hazard is damaging wind, but tornado threat is high tomorrow, too. We will bust this thing to the north and east, and on the backside, even Chicago picking up some of the snow. But look at New York, Hartford, back down into South and North Carolina where they need rain, but it's going to come with a damaging wind threat. David?
All of that hitting the east by Wednesday. Ginger Z tracking it all. We'll see you first thing in the morning on GMA. And as the storm moves across the country, we're also tracking these out-of-control wildfires tonight. The state of emergency in South Carolina. Crews racing to contain more than 175 wildfires still burning across the Carolinas, battling to save homes. Near Myrtle Beach, the fast-moving flames forcing families to evacuate, some actually driving through fires to try to get out. National Guard helicopters flying overhead, threaten neighborhoods there, protecting homes. ABC's Stephanie Ramos in Myrtle Beach tonight.
Tonight, terrifying scenes in the South Carolina Lowcountry. Families racing to escape a raging wildfire. You can hear the fear in Gabby's voice as she and her boyfriend flee his home in Myrtle Beach.
Why we can't get out?
We're told the home was not damaged. The fire breaking out Saturday. You could hear those winds whipping as it quickly grew to more than 1,600 acres. The governor calling up National Guard helicopters, Blackhawks, and Chinooks, dumping hundreds of gallons of water on the flames. Fixed-wing aircraft scooping water from the intercoastal waterway. Vince and Barbara Junta shot this video as the fire closed in.
So that wind is what started it, and start one fire and just kept going and going and going.
Authorities say no homes were destroyed, but many sustained damage. Michael Abel showing us the close call for his home.
It was close enough to the house to melt the siding here.
His fence practically melted away. The fire, just one of more than 175 burning in South Carolina amid bone-dry conditions. And just over the border, multiple fires burning in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina. Areas still reeling from Helene, now dealing with fire.
And David, here near Myrtle Beach, fire officials are very concerned that the winds could pick up again tomorrow. The air quality is really poor, and a burn ban is still in effect until further notice. David.
Thinking about all of those families across the Carolinas tonight. Stephanie, thank you. We are here in Washington tonight on the eve of the president's address to this joint session of Congress tomorrow night. He will likely explain his tariffs to the American people in prime time. But already tonight, the stock market plunging more than 600 points on the news that the president says he will impose his 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico at midnight tonight. Tariffs on China as well. Economists now warn that those tariffs are paid by American businesses on products coming into this country, and then those costs are passed on to American consumers. And tonight, what legendary investor Warren Buffett is now saying. Here's Mary Bruce.
Tonight, the Dow tumbling 600 points on President Trump's announcement that he's moving forward with sweeping new tariffs against Canada and Mexico at the stroke of midnight. Trump saying there's nothing they can do to change his mind.
No room left for Mexico or for Canada. No, the tariffs, they're all set.
Trump adding a 25% tax on all goods coming across the border from Mexico and Canada, and an additional 10% on Chinese products. Economists point out the cost will be paid by American businesses, who will pass it on to consumers by raising prices. By one estimate, the average household will spend up to $2,000 more a year on everything from produce to clothes to electronics. The cost of a new car could spike $3,000. The CEO of Ford warning long-term a 25% tariff across the Mexico and Canada borders would blow a hole in the U.S. industry that we've never seen. Trump undeterred.
So what they have to do is build their car plants, frankly, and other things in the United States.
But legendary investor Warren Buffett calling tariffs essentially an act of war.
I mean, tariffs are actually, we've had a lot of experience with them. They're an act of war to some degree.
And tonight, Mexico and Canada already vowing to retaliate by slapping taxes on American goods.
We will have a strong, unequivocal, and proportional response as Canadians expect.
Already the anger is palpable. Canadians booing the Star-Spangled Banner when the LA Galaxy soccer team played the Vancouver Whitecaps overnight. And when Trump first threatened tariffs, Canadian liquor stores took American whiskey off the shelves. Trump insists his tariffs are meant to pressure Mexico and Canada to stop the flow of deadly drugs and migrants coming into the country. But less than 1% of the fentanyl seized coming into the U.S. last year came across the Canadian border. Over the last month, both countries trying to negotiate. Canada appointing a fentanyl czar, Mexico surging 10,000 troops to the border and sending back criminals wanted in the U.S. But Trump tonight says it isn't enough and seemed to expand his reasons for imposing these tariffs in the first place.
They can't come in and steal our money and steal our jobs and take our factories and take our businesses and expect not to be punished. And they're being punished by tariffs.
And you can be sure we'll be hearing more about these tariffs tomorrow night when the president delivers his first address before a joint session of Congress since returning to the White House. But there are real concerns that these tariffs could drive up prices just as inflation is also rising, something the president promised to address on day one. All eyes now on how he tackles these economic issues tomorrow night. David.
Mary Bruce live at the White House. Mary, thank you. And of course, Mary and our entire political team will be right here tomorrow night, the presidential address to the nation and a joint session of Congress tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern right here on ABC. Tomorrow night, the president will also no doubt address the situation with Ukraine. For 3 years, the U.S. has been Ukraine's most vital ally after Russia invaded. But the world also witnessed that showdown in the Oval Office between President Trump and President Zelenskyy on Friday. Our Rachel Scott asking the president today, what would it take for him to make the deal with Zelenskyy after all? As the Kremlin tonight now says President Trump's vision largely aligns with theirs.
Tonight at the White House, I pressed President Trump on what it would take to restart peace talks with Ukraine after that showdown in the Oval Office. Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance berating Ukrainian President Zelenskyy.
Thank you, Mr. President. What do you need to see from President Zelenskyy to restart these negotiations?
Well, I just think he should be more appreciative because this country has stuck with them through thick and thin.
Their blow-up shocking the world on a day when Ukraine was supposed to be signing a mineral agreement with the U.S. that would have brought them one step closer to peace. Instead, a shouting match.
Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful.
And an ultimatum.
You're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards.
Trump kicking Zelenskyy out of the White House, but Europe later embracing him. Over the weekend, allies calling him to an emergency meeting. King Charles extending a rare invitation. Tonight, Zelenskyy addressing Ukraine, saying, "We need peace, real fair peace, not endless war, and we need security guarantees." Earlier noting an agreement to end the war is still very, very far away.
He said he thinks the war's going to go on for a long time, and he better not be right about that. That's all I'm saying.
The rift between Trump and Zelenskyy, music to the ears of Vladimir Putin. The Kremlin today saying Trump's foreign policy is, quote, largely in line with our vision.
Russia says that your administration's foreign policy is, quote, largely in line with their vision.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think it takes two to tango, and you're going to have to make a deal with Russia, and you're going to have to make a deal with Ukraine. Now, maybe somebody doesn't want to make a deal, and if somebody doesn't want to make a deal, I think that person won't be around very long.
And late tonight, two White House officials telling ABC News President Trump has officially ordered a pause in all military aid to Ukraine.
Zelenskyy has made it clear that he wants lasting peace and that he's eager to get that minerals deal across the finish line. But tonight, growing concern from Democrats and even some Republicans that the administration is turning toward Russia. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy saying this administration is now becoming an arm of the Kremlin, David.
Rachel Scott at the White House as well tonight. Rachel, thank you. After the plane crash here in Washington over the Potomac and those warnings right beforehand, that Black Hawk too close to the passenger jet, there's news tonight that there have been multiple warnings since for pilots coming into Washington, including passenger jets. But those pilots say there isn't other aircraft nearby when they're getting these alerts. So what's happening? Why the alerts? And is the system working? Here's Gio Benitez.
Just weeks after that deadly midair crash over the Potomac River, moments after a Black Hawk helicopter was warned it was too close to a passenger jet, now comes word that multiple pilots received collision alerts on final approach to Reagan National Airport. But this time, it would appear those warnings are false alarms, and authorities are asking, what's going on?
We got a couple of traffic advisories, the cautions. We didn't see anybody either.
A source with direct knowledge telling ABC News 6 planes received those mid-air collision warnings in the cockpit Saturday, 3 forced to perform go-arounds. Those traffic collision avoidance systems, known as TCAS, alert pilots if another aircraft is nearby or on a collision course with their plane. But no other planes were close.
There's no known traffic between you and the field. We've had multiple arrivals today report TAs and RAs for unknown targets. Use caution.
Experts say it's critical these systems work properly to avoid false alarms.
It's a potential major distraction of a flight crew at a very critical time of flight, which is landing. So if these are not real warnings, and they haven't been, they're distracting and they're dangerous.
And David, it is critical that pilots aren't distracted, that they're focused on that runway, so the FAA will investigate. David.
Gio Benitez back on this for us. Gio, thank you. Overseas tonight, the dramatic and deadly scene unfolding in Mannheim, Germany. A driver plowing into pedestrians at a carnival. Authorities say at least 2 people were killed, dozens injured. Children were among the victims. The driver is now in custody tonight. The suspect shot himself in the mouth as police closed in. He is in stable condition in the hospital tonight. Investigators suspect mental illness. Tonight, there has been a disturbing new setback for Pope Francis. Let's get right to ABC's Terry Moran live at the Vatican. Terry, what have you learned?
But David, this was a hard day for Pope Francis. This afternoon, Francis was struck by 2 episodes of acute respiratory failure. That is a term that the Vatican has not used before. These were medical emergencies. The Pope was not getting enough oxygen, and so twice doctors inserted a tube down his throat to clear out a significant amount of mucus that had accumulated there. They then put him back on ventilation, a high-pressure oxygen mask, and now they say that his prognosis remains guarded. The Vatican says the Pope was conscious throughout, but doctors say that given his age, he's 88 years old, and his underlying conditions, there will be good days and bad days, and this, David, was a hard day.
Yep, the world watching very closely. Again, our thanks to you, Terry, tonight. When we come back here, the urgent search for a missing 2-year-old boy. And the scare at Boston's Logan Airport, a passenger stung by a scorpion while retrieving her luggage. In a moment. Tonight, an urgent search is now underway for a missing 2-year-old boy in Lincoln County, Oregon. Authorities say Dane Paulsen was last seen playing in the front yard of his home, out of sight from his parents. Tonight, rescue teams are out in force, including divers, drones, and dogs. No sign of the boy. When we come back tonight, the passenger stung by a scorpion at Boston's Logan Airport. And the big surprises, and of course, that soaring opening on Oscar night right here on ABC. To the index tonight, and this evening, an airline passenger is in the hospital after being stung by a scorpion at Boston's Logan Airport. Authorities say she was returning from Mexico. She was stung on the finger while retrieving her luggage from baggage claim. There's no word tonight on the type of scorpion, and they still don't know where it came from or what happened to it after the incident. When we come back here tonight, it was a magical night at the Oscars, the emotional surprises, and that stunning opening performance.
ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, sponsored by Claritin, powerful 24-hour non-drowsy allergy relief.
Finally tonight here, the Oscars making history here on ABC.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high.
A night of magic at the 97th Academy Awards.
Is a land that I've heard of once in a lullaby.
Wicked stars Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo opening the show in a tribute to the world of Oz. Their show-stopping duet, Defying Gravity.
With you and I defying gravity, they'll never bring us down.
But the night would soon belong to the indie film Anora.
Anora.
Winning 5 Oscars, including Best Picture and Best Director.
Anora.
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 And stunning everyone.
Mikey Madison.
And its 25-year-old star won Best Actress, Mikey Madison.
I grew up in Los Angeles, but Hollywood always felt so far away from me. So to be here, standing in this room today is really incredible.
Adrian Brody winning Best Actor for The Brutalist.
I believe if the past can teach us anything, it's a reminder to not let hate go unchecked.
Zoe Saldana
Mommy! Mommy!
winning Best Supporting Actress for Amelia Perez.
I am a proud child of immigrant parents with dreams and dignity and hardworking hands.
Kieran Culkin celebrating his Best Supporting Actor win for A Real Pain, bringing up a deal he made with his wife if he ever won an Oscar about the size of their family.
She turned to me, I swear to God this happened, it was just over a year ago. She said, I will give you 4 when you win an Oscar. Let's get cracking on those kids, what do you say?
Oscars host Conan O'Brien honoring the real-life heroes of Los Angeles.
On behalf of everyone in Greater Los Angeles, thank you for all that you do.
And Wicked making history with Paul Tazwell winning Best Costume Design.
I'm the first black man to receive the Costume Design Award.
A night of making history at the Oscars.
That was incredible, the magic of the Oscars. And I loved all the presenters, too. Mick Jagger, Billy Crystal, Meg Ryan, Morgan Freeman. There were so many surprises. I'm David Muir. I'll see you tomorrow night. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.